All right, good evening. Welcome to the City of Sunbury Services Committee meeting for March 5th, 2025. Can I please get a roll call?
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mayor St. John.
Here.
Mr. Here. Mr. Grumney.
Here.
Present, we have quorum.
I am going to move to approve the minutes from our February 5th meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Yes. 4 yeas, minutes pass.
You. I believe our visitors are the folks that are set to present on our actual agenda, so we will jump right into it with Kaylee Bollinger from Local Waste. Good evening.
So we asked Kaylee to be here to go through the local waste services because, as you all know, tonight on your council agendas, we do have a second reading for the adoption with their contract. So Kaylee is here to go over some of the statistics, to answer any questions that you all may have, and to go over any customer service questions you all have as well.
Hello.
A little bit about local waste. You guys probably already know a lot since we've been with you guys as your service provider for a while. Roughly right now we have 150 employees. Roughly around 105 trucks. We run about 55 routes per day. We just built a new 7-bay shop. It's something that we have a existing 5-bay shop. However, we have the new shop. So when we have a truck that needs a larger repair, we can completely down a truck in-house to make those repairs. And it's not something that's taking up our existing 5-bay shop that we need to do create those trips. Quick fixes, checking and fixing hopper seals, stuff that's easy they can do in and out in one night. Anything that needs to be over the 1 day, they put in the shop to do those in-house versus sending them out. A little bit about customer service and some of the technology that's on the trucks and how that conveys to customer service and how we can help you guys with any sort of issues or warnings before they become issues. All of our trucks have roughly 5 to 7 cameras, one in the cab, rear facing, forward facing on both sides and in the hopper. This helps us a lot when we get a report from a customer saying missed service, or you put my can in the middle of the driveway, or you took my can, it's gone. We do get those complaints. It's not very frequently, but with this software, it actually is something that we can the camera footage, we can request it, and we can use that to get a full report. It's not just he said, she said, or I don't know what happened. We can actually give them a solid reason. And we actually have someone that is in our office and our dispatch team that is watching cameras 24/7. Well, office hours 24/7. But we can pull those cameras, report back to the resident or to Amber, is who would send me any sort of complaint or any issues or questions. And we can send those back to her and she can get back to the resident if they reach out to her directly. Another software that we have is it's for routing purposes. The driver can, at every single stop, the driver has a tablet in the truck. And he can mark a few options. He can mark complete, there's no issues. He can mark the resident that I have trash out. He can mark excessive materials, and he can mark if something was blocked. Blocked would be if the road is closed or there's a tree trimming service or something unusual. With that, it is helpful when people call in and say, oh, my traffic was missed. And you can say, oh, it looks like the driver was there at 8:22. There's nothing out. And they say, oh, yep, I forgot. And I have it out until 9 a.m. So it's helpful so we can have that live data. As soon as the driver marks it on his tablet, we can see it in customer service and tell the residents that directly. For anything that's excessive material, the driver can also put a picture. You can take a picture on his tablet. It goes straight to the customer's account. It has timestamp, it has their location, and he also has the capacity of putting a note on the account, so he can put why it wasn't collected. Most of the time, when something isn't collected, they're supposed to be taking a picture and noting. That tells us in customer service if the resident calls in why it's not being collected, and then we can tell them what has to happen to get it collected. Most of the time, that is with bulk items. So mattresses or a pile of wood out, something where it's not a regular occurrence and they just didn't know how to prepare it. So this is helpful. So my team, I have a team of 8 people that's answering the phones all day long, helping residents. So we can track all that information and provide it live as soon as they call in. They don't have to wait for an answer or 24 to 48 hours. We return all of our calls by the end of the day or within 24 hours if they call. With that, a little bit about customer service and the technology and how it converts from the trucks live to our team, so we can tell the resident or share that with Amber. Anytime there's something that the driver takes a picture of or notes, it is something that we actually review daily. Every single morning, we pull a report and I send those to each municipality to let them know why something wasn't collected and how to get it collected. So if the resident reaches out to them directly, then they already have the answer before it becomes a problem and they don't have to reach out to me have it reviewed. They can pull up their email, they already have it up, and then they can tell the resident that immediately, and then the problem is solved for the next week. More questions?
We do have a big fleet. That's a lot of trucks.
Yeah, we're continuously growing, so I can say, with being with the company for the last 10 years, it's definitely grown quite a bit. So it's one of our bigger fleets, one of our newest fleets. Now it's 70% CNG, which is very nice. We have a CNG filling station on site now. So all our trucks will fill overnight too.
You have a strong investment in technology. I'm just
Yeah.
curious, are you guys on the leading edge of that, or is that something that's standard? But it seems like you guys might be ahead of the curve on some of that. Yeah,
I know some other competitors might be starting to add cameras. I don't think they have the capacity or the abilities that we do right now to have it updated live to the customer profiles. Or the technology for the different types of markings, like complete, not out excessive, blocked, all of that, in addition to being able to take a picture or note an individual's account immediately when he is on the site.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, I was just gonna say, I know when James Weaver, the CFO, James is our principal contact for this. He had indicated to me, I think last year, that you guys were having some challenges, like a lot of other firms in the industry with drivers. It sounds like maybe that's been a little bit less of an issue of late. I don't know if any update for the group on that?
Yeah, for sure. So that is something that is, it's always a evolving field, getting drivers in and later them. But I can say, as of when I checked earlier today, we daily have had extra drivers on staff. So it's always about training. We have a trainee program, so getting loaders up to a CDL driver. Today there were 4 that are learning to become a CDL driver. So we have those extra people. So we have the capacity to have people trained and become a CDL driver. Pretty new statutes.
I almost forgot. I did have a question. Do you happen to know where the drop point is for local waste, landfill, or wherever the trucks drop off, or if there's multiple points? Daryl and I were talking about this earlier in the week and we just didn't know.
Yeah, so all the material that is picked up out of county, out of Franklin County, is taken to our transfer station.
Okay,
And
okay, okay. And that's the same for up here in Delaware County as well?
Yeah, so
Okay.
all of the materials picked up in Sunbury is disposed of at our transfer station.
Okay, great.
And then one other thing that I would just like to mention regarding this bid, it is our strong recommendation to remain status quo. Just because it gives residents the opportunity that want to participate in recycling to recycle, while also keeping the rate as low as possible for the people that don't want to recycle. So while it is, in our opinion, the perfect plan to make all residents happy, especially with the elderly and things, keeping the rate level while also allowing people to recycle that want to continue.
I agree. And I appreciate that in the bid package too. All right.
Just to follow up with what Kaylee was saying that we, staff's recommendation is also to keep status quo. So, we do have a trash only with the option of adding on recycling. That is what we have currently, and that's what staff would recommend as well.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much
you.
for presenting tonight.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, and next we have Jennifer.
Yeah.
From Delaware Public Health District.
Good evening.
Evening.
So my name is Jennifer Young. I'm the coordinator of Keep Delaware County Beautiful Program, Delaware Public Health. And I'm here on behalf of the DKMM for Delaware Knox Marion Borough Solid Waste District. DKMM is directed by House Bill 592 to provide programs that divert material from landfills. And in order to do that, they are required by the state law to write and update solid waste district plans and provide details on programs in that plan. And this plan is upgraded every 5 years. So for the last 18 months, DKMM has been working on providing, been working on this plan and that's why I'm here this evening is to talk to you a little bit about the cities, villages, townships, passing resolutions of approval, and approval of the new plan. So DKMM is funded through agreements that they have with the 40 landfills and transfer stations, and they agree to pay a per ton fee that's generated within the 4 counties. So currently the fee is $6 a ton, and that fee has been that same amount for the last since 2012. How about that? And so DKMM is down to the point where they need to increase the fee to continue with current programs and hopefully do some upgraded programs. So the plan update increases the fee to $7.50 ton with $7.50 a ton from $6 a ton. And that information or that was also approved by the board, the DKMM board, which is made up of county commissioners of all 4 counties. There's one. So current programs that we've been doing, or that I've been doing, all of us have been doing, I spent a lot of time working with the community. I do presentations for the DAR in Delaware City, and I've been doing one for Source Point. I do classroom presentations. So a lot of presentations. DKMM has a tire bin at the salt storage facility at Route 42. And this is for tires that are picked up along public right of ways. So if your maintenance folks find a piece of tire on one of the city streets here in Sunbury, those can be picked up and those can be taken to the salt storage farm and there's a charge. There's solid waste enforcement and monitoring programs at the health department. You have a registered OBS sanitarian that covers that program and investigates and takes care of nuisance complaints and things like that. And probably one of the most requested programs is the household hazardous waste and electronics drop off. And that is in Lapis Pasture by equipment at the transfer station. Delaware County, having 1-day drop-offs has been very difficult in Delaware County. I don't know if you've ever heard about them, but it's like the lines and the long, but the by appointment program is a lot gentler and people don't have a long wait time. So we did that last year and we're doing it again this year. I know that DKMM is hoping to bring back some Saturday collections as well for hazardous waste. Some other programs that we did our tire collection this past fall in Sunbury, which was very successful, and we are hoping to do it again. Between the drop-offs we had in Radnor and Sunbury, we collected 21 tons of tires in that short period of time. Another program that I do with the help of DKMM is the Holiday String Light Collection Program. That started, I believe, in 2019. And we skipped a year for COVID, but then we went back on in 2021, and we've collected about 3,500 pounds of string lights a year. So that's kind of cool. I have clear string recycling containers for community events. So again, You know, if you want something out in the van, Amanda can provide you with the bags and the frames and the lids and those are available for any of your events that you have. Another program that was started through Keep Delaware County Beautiful was our food scrap bucket drop off program. And I know that we do have some residents in Sunbury that participate in that. Unfortunately, our class 2 facility is all the way over in Delaware. We don't have one very close to us here, but Price Farms does a really good job. And we've been working on this program for 2 years now. But people could take food scraps, including meat, bone, and fats and dairy, and they can put it in a bucket that they get for free, and they can take it and empty the food scraps at Price Farms where they will be composted. So that's another program that's done. We're working on a new program this year. It's expanded just a little bit. I hope to expand it more next year. And I don't know if the cemetery at Sunbury participates, but we're doing a Wreaths Across America deconstruction program this year with the help of a lot of volunteers and a lot of students over at the Career Center with the wildlife program. And so we're deconstructing wreaths collected from the Wreaths Across America program after the holidays are over. And we're taking them apart and we're recycling all the pieces and parts. So there's a lot of things going on. I know DCAMM plans to provide some grants to businesses and schools and that do a waste audit implement certain items from that are discovered from the waste audit. They want to have open dump and tire dump cleanup grants available to our communities. And then they want to offer recycling grant for communities that want to start or improve curbside programs. So those are some different options that could be available. Again, it's a small shop and we can try to do more with less. And we love our communities and we love what we're doing.
Very nice.
So
It'd be great to get the high schools more involved. You know,
it certainly would. And that's another side of my program that I really did talk about is the litter prevention part. Again, any spring cleanups that are happening, fall cleanups, anybody wants to do cleanups, I have bags, I have litter grabbers, I have gloves. And again, I know schools have been really involved in, you know, doing certain things and the way the education programs have changed a little bit. It's probably been kind of hard for me to fit into some of their programs, but if they want to get out and do some cleanups.
or community hours, I don't know, so that would be a huge plus if they are required to have community hours or service hours, that'd be outstanding. Plus, I always think the waste system, yours too, there's truly a science behind it, and our waste system here, we're getting a new plant. There's a lot of science behind it, and really you help out the environment, and there's a lot of occupations that are related, and they're underrated, and they're so needed. They are just really, it's a must.
Well, I was just talking to Kaylee, right? I was just talking to Kaylee and we were talking about how the recyclables that are collected here in Sunbury go down to the facility in Columbus and these materials are recycled and manufactured by companies that are located in Central Ohio. They stay local, even within the state. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
It is really happening, and it is really great that, you know, that the residents of Sunbury are participating. And has grown to, would you say, we're just under 50%? Yeah. Just even to get to grow a little bit more. With more participants for sure.
No questions?
Yeah, so maybe the only other thing I'll add is in your packet, I've included the executive summary of the 5-year plan. The entire plan is actually on the OneDrive if you want to go see that, because the executive summary does reference attachments to the back. So those are not in your packet, but they will be. So, and the other thing that Jennifer had indicated is that there's a window of time for council to accept the plan. And I think you may have mentioned again, if we don't accept the plan, it's considered a rejection of the plan, at least from this municipality's perspective, you've got to have a certain percentage of all the jurisdictions in the four-county region to approve it. Otherwise, it reverts to, I think, the USCP or Ohio EPA writes the plan for us. So all of that to basically say we will prepare for the next council meeting, at least the first reading, to adopt the resolution. So if you've got questions, in the intervening 2 weeks, let us know, but that's where you can find more information about the plan. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now we'll move on to fiber services.
All right, thank you. So packet page 26, I've included in your packet a map. So maybe just backing up a little bit, about a year and a half or so ago, the city engaged an outside consultant to assist the city in developing a fiber strategy plan for the city. At the end of the day, the recommendation was that maybe the best strategy for the city would be to support the creation of a backbone or a loop or a series of loops around the community that could then be used to support future economic development opportunities. It also could support any future internet service providers that may come into the community. And one of the benefits of at least developing the loop is that we could manage our right of way a little bit more and direct future fiber providers through the ductwork that somebody puts into place. So the map that I've given you is a little bit difficult to read, but this is if you look at the light blue / teal line there, that represents the outer level or outer limits of the proposed loop that our consultant recommended for the city. Now, you'll notice that actually it doesn't include the area to the east. So, now we've annexed additional land to the east, and there is an updated version of the map, but we've never gotten that back in front of council to adopt. That said, the yellow line that I've put in here, it's a little kind of screwed up just a little bit around the square, but basically from Kittner Parkway on the west, coming down 36, 37, and then looping around, so down Columbus, down Granville Street, over to 37. We have worked with a couple of fiber providers that are looking to bring fiber services to the city of Sunbury, Alta Fiber being the one. But they have indicated that they would be willing to put in for us at a cost a multi-duct conduit in this segment of the backbone for the cost of about $47,000. When I go back to look at the original plan, that is actually about half the cost of what the consultant had indicated would be the cost of the city if we were to do it ourselves. So it's a pretty significant savings, pretty significant opportunity for the city. You'll note though that it's only one leg and it doesn't create a loop in any way, shape, or form. But after the consultant had done their work last year, one of the things council had asked us to do is reach out to some of the other neighboring communities just to talk to them a little bit about how they got started in the fiber business. And one of the things that I learned in that is that it's okay that you don't do the entire system at one time. I mean, of course, that might be ideal, but just beginning to build out the network is really what you need to do. And eventually you'll create some loops. And, again, ultimately, maybe you get everything, but if you don't, you're still making progress toward that. So the reason that I'm bringing this to you today is I'd like to get it in front of council for consideration to accept a proposal from Alta Fiber to install this leg of the conduit as part of their plan to bring new fiber to the city. Now that on its own is probably half of what the city needs to do. The other thing we really need to do then is put into place a policy and ultimately an ordinance that then says any future users that are going to come in to provide fiber will be required to go through the city's ductwork. And when they're required to go through there, we'll get some kind of compensation for that. We'll also need to get in place somebody who can maintain the ductwork as well. I mean, it's not a specialty that the city has, and as you know, sometimes construction projects cut through fiber lines. So we're working with our consultant to identify potential maintenance providers as well. So there's still work to be done beyond just simply getting the ductwork into place. But again, the first step is to work with Alta Fiber to get this piece in. Like I said, I hope to bring that to the council meeting next time to talk about that proposal. The final thing I'll say then is that there is a second fiber provider that the city is actively working with that is looking to also do fiber throughout the entire city. They're already in the city. It's Brightspeed. One of the things I think we're looking closely at is if this ductwork, when this ductwork gets into place, that becomes part of their path as well. So if they go down 36 with 37, which they will, that we'll pull their fiber through this ductwork. So trying to coordinate all of those at the same time to, align perfectly. So anyway, so that's what I wanted to share. Thoughts, questions, comments.
Just a quick question, Daryl. So the yellow section is the $47,000, half of the price of what they originally quoted. So if we follow the teal line all the way around, is the yellow, is that you're saying that is the guts? And then, so, cause I'm just wondering if that's $47K to fill in this teal area, is that the same type of cost related, or is it a different model, I guess? I don't know if I'm asking that.
Yeah. So, at least the way that the consultant had costed it out for us initially, they costed it out at somewhere in the neighborhood of $13.50 per linear foot. Alta Fiber is proposing something more in the neighborhood of $650, $675, something like that. So again, about half the cost associated with that. So if we don't find a partner and we want to continue to put in ductwork around there, I mean, the market rate is probably going to be closer to that 13.5 or something. I mean, we would bid that out and go that way. The other thing is, though, that as Alta Fiber or other providers talk about expanding in the city, I mean, we've talked to them about trying to be a partner with the city based on this fiber study that was done. So I think there'll be an opportunity for us to have more conversation with them about extending it as they start to go south. They're working closely with Galena at this point to perhaps provide services down there. So there may be another stretch of this loop that we may be able to get as a part of phase 2. But I don't know yet. We're still working through that. Yeah. And then, as we think about the parkway, as we think about the development to the east and, there's a roadway construction as part of the industrial park. I mean, all of that will be talking about getting fiber in place to, again, begin to get closer to building out this loop in its entirety.
Did you just have one bid? Is that right? Are you just getting one bid?
Well, so you don't get bids necessarily. I mean, what happens is these private providers come forward, they ask for a right-of-way permit to install fiber in the right-of-way. We talked about whether or not there's a franchise agreement or something that the city engages in, but that's not really what happens. You basically work through your right-of-way process to determine whether or not they're building it in a manner consistent with your right-of-way standards. So what I said is that as these providers have come to us, we've said, well, wait a minute, the city is trying to be more strategic about where the ductwork goes. Would you like to partner with the city? And Alta Fiber has said, yes, we are willing to partner and interested in partnering with the city. The other provider has not indicated an interest in doing that yet. So it wasn't a formal bid process. It really just has been a part of the engagement with the providers as they come forward.
So the only thing that I'll add to that is one of the reasons creating this ductwork in one uniform motion is really important is so that we don't clutter up the right of way. So essentially, when we review our right of way requirements and we get an application in, we have to be fair to everybody. So if they meet our requirements, if we don't have something already in place, we will check all the boxes and approve or not approve. And that can happen multiple times. So we could have multiple ductworks all over these streets. So the idea of creating these backbones, especially on busy streets and through our square area, I think is going to be really critical so that we don't have all these multiple impacts as providers try to come in.
Yeah, actually, maybe, and one other point I should add is that, so the city could also use the ductwork for ourselves. I mean, if we want to create a smart city, we could run our own fiber through there and begin to, connect in some way. Now, having said that, we're working with both providers to try to gain access to some fiber line that they have as well, or strands that they have. That's pretty standard for them to provide something to the city in exchange for the right of way permit. But again, this kind of takes it to a whole nother level and an opportunity for the city to, again, think about becoming a smart community and what that might look like and using fiber to help us get there.
And one particular example that I see here is smart traffic signals. So, I mean, the square, they're on timing loops. I mean, you'll notice that no matter what time of the day you're there, I mean, it's the same rotation, right? I mean, that even causes issues for safety services, which in some cases can actually control the lights, like the fire department and the EMS. But, this stretch right here of road, Cherry Street through Kintner, in my mind is where we can get the most bang for our buck, and like smart signals and fiber is I would say the top tier, the gold standard in terms of connecting them. Right now we use radio frequency and outdated SCADA systems, and it's just difficult to program, not intuitive. So I think this will get us there. The other thing is, I mean, when you think of conduit, and to Carlos' point, I mean, do you want to run 2 pieces of pipe or 1? And then, we ultimately, I know this is public dollars. We're talking about 48,000, but this is a drop in the bucket when we talk about long-term leasing opportunities for other companies that do want to put their fiber in. I mean, the cost is it's going to pay for itself, because we basically, we're creating, I don't want to say a utility, but we're creating a framework that we can then lease out.
So no action necessary for the services committee. Just want to kind of tee this up with you before we come back to council at the next meeting. All right. Thanks.
All right, Amber, can you pull up my presentation? I put together 4 slides, and while Amber's pulling it up, she's super quick. You're going to recognize these from the end of last year. Just pulled a handful of them from the November presentation. So if you want to go ahead and jump to the next slide. This was pulled right out of that presentation. One of the things I left you with at that discussion on street improvement, the street improvement program, was that there was this timeline. We'd be waiting to find out if we would be awarded OPWC funding. Spoiler alert, if they were giving out the funding today, we will not be awarded the funding. We did have a conversation with Verdantis, who helped with the application for OPWC funding. And part of the conversation was the ranking and whether or not, as the funding is distributed, whether or not there may actually be some funding available. So I'll have you jump to the next slide really quick, just so that you can, it's really difficult to read, but it is on packet page 28, 29, 29. Thank you. So that you can hopefully see in your packet the numbering there. So projects that were awarded the funding initially here scored that total point. It would be well, if you're at the very top, the second from the right side, 131 total points. We scored 129. So we were on, I guess you would call it the second page of the not recommended funds. I did circle in red those ranking numbers. So they have identified 42 projects that they'd like to award funds to. We're project number 48. We are going to reach out to them to see how many in the past they typically go through and perhaps offer some funding after the fact. And we'll work with them to see if they think there's a possibility that we still may be able to receive some funding or even partial funding if it's available. Stepping back real quick, our budget for the street program this year, 1.3 million. That 1.3 does include 300,000 for this OPWC grant. So the city did put aside $1 million for our streets. So we're still going to have a program, not to worry. Can you go ahead and jump to the next slide? Thank you. So this shows you the overall map. Right now, my recommendation is to continue to move forward with design of the entire project. With that, we can do a final cost estimate, see where we can sharpen the pencil and what the overall budget is going to be for this project, and talk a little bit later about what we may want to quote unquote cut. But I also feel that if we look at it from a maybe a best practice as far as bidding is concerned, if we can put together a base bid, so essentially take the projects for that $1 million that we recommend, put that out, and then put a few streets aside as an alternate, bid that out, see where it lands, and you never know, we could get really good pricing. We may be able to do more than we previously thought. It also puts it in your hands and in council's hands whether or not we decide if we want to award the alternate when it comes down to it. So I guess no action other than I'm just looking for some feedback if that is a good direction that you'd like to go, or if you have any questions.
It's the
I would
red,
recommend
I'm
like
sorry.
proceeding as
Yeah.
you recommend as soon as possible, so we get best pricing when we hit the street.
Okay.
I agree. I had, on this topic, I had written to Daryl when the news came out that we weren't getting the grant funding. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, is this really the funding model that we should target for the streets program every single year? Daryl reminded me, and I do agree that this year our plan is much better because we've budgeted a much larger amount for the program itself. But, and maybe I'm alone here, I find it a little unsatisfying that we base this program on the results of the OPWC grant funding. So I just wanted to explore options there and see, are there other projects that we could apply to OPWC for separate funding to get, especially when it deals with, I see some like drainage projects and stuff like that that are from other municipalities, getting earlier bids out so that we can maybe get a higher priority to the contractors. Just where's the break even point there?
And
Yes.
those are great points. So going back and looking at the scoring mechanism, how we scored what actually was awarded and what that point is definitely going to be a part of our follow-up process to see if we'd like to go after this funding for this project again. It is my understanding that in the past, this has typically been where the city has gone after OPWC money, but you're absolutely right. If we have other projects that would score better, it makes more sense to maybe try to go after that funding for something that's going to be more successful. So yeah, that will definitely be part of something that we go back and look at to see if we can identify something that makes a little bit more sense for OPWC.
Yeah, but having said that, the other thing that we talked a little bit about as well is that we do feel like we got very competitive pricing last year by getting out early, ahead of maybe the other communities that were in the OPWC funding group. So we'll make that our goal as well this year, to get out early, see if we can't get that really good pricing. And again, maybe all of the program fits within our $1 million. If not, it's close. So I mean, I recognize that, yeah, I mean, if we were as reliant upon the grant money to have a program, you're right. That's probably not a sustainable strategy long term, but the city has certainly made a very firm commitment to capital improvement by, putting aside a large sum of money. And again, this year doubled up what we had in the budget last year. So again, I still feel like we're in pretty good shape. So we'll be back.
I agree. 3 years ago, it was over half of our program was, a hopeful coupon away. And sometimes we hit it, sometimes we didn't. Yeah, I think our approach has been very strong over the past couple of years. And I mean, $1 million cash up front, that goes a long way.
Yeah, for our community, I think this is a great size project, and we'll get a lot done, and it will help our overall ratings. And before Daryl tries to pull pull the mic away from me. I'm sure I'll be back here trying to talk to you guys about pavement management systems and some other ways to optimize ways that we can improve our streets in the future. Stay tuned.
We'd like to understand the point scoring a little bit more. I feel like every year I'm like, oh, we've really like honed it in. I mean, looking at these other projects, there's only one that had like a similar local match to us, and it was the City of Pataskala water supply project. I mean, some of these entities are scoring the exact same as us, like St. Albans had a $21,000 project. They requested $20,000. I mean, 99% they're asking for the grant. We're funding 75% in-house. I don't know. I feel like there's a subjective piece to this that I'm missing. Like somebody's like, you know what, Sunbury's doing too good up there. We got to hold them back.
Yeah, and I don't have all of the criteria memorized. However, there are certain aspects. If your project will add jobs, it gives you, 10 points, and that's going to make a huge difference. And there are other key aspects. So if we can look to see if we can align better and get more points on other projects, yeah, that's the best way to do it. And that's with any grant that you apply for. Hopefully you're on the winning end of it and you can evaluate it and move forward. But when you're on the losing end, it is time and effort spent. So we want to make sure that we are going after funding that is going to benefit our taxpayers.
And the company we use to help complete the application, do they provide feedback and steps and thoughts? So, okay, thinking 12 months from now or 2 years from now, this is what you want to be thinking about when we apply to give us a better chance. So we're not having to think of it ourselves, but the people that are involved in this on a regular basis are providing insight. Yeah.
Yeah, so the company we use is Verdantis. Yeah, CT Consultants. So, yeah.
And they had an individual, I apologize, I can't remember his name. It's not Manuel, but it is somebody who
Former director.
who used to
Miller,
work
I can't
for OPWC. So very familiar with the scoring criteria, is looking at the types of projects. This is what Verdantis recommended, at least for projects that we knew would be doing this year, would score the best to go after that funding. But hopefully as we develop projects even further out, we can look to see what may align the best with this funding opportunity.
I don't mean to overstep, but maybe having someone from CT come in and explain the point system a little bit to us as to what, how big of a percentage is, 20,000 out of a $21,000 project. That's a big ask versus, like the mayor pointed out. So are there things we could be doing differently? Not, we're on track. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. That's what I think. So
And I could probably pull it together if you don't mind, 20 to 30 slide presentation to go over those point ranges, because it's all step by step you can go through and see.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's step by step. I just kind of just a better understanding, maybe rather than just see point totals and saying, well, we missed it by 2 points, to understand what goes into that. And I mean, maybe other people want to see 30 pages and point by point. Or maybe it could be put on the OneDrive to look at if you like, but I'm just curious on what's part of the formula behind that, I guess.
Yeah, and we definitely have follow-up work that we want to do with OPWC to see, if they think that we are going to get awarded some funding. And we can ask them those questions to say, hey, these projects, at least, looking at the list, we look very similar to some of the projects that were awarded for some other communities. Yeah. What could we have done to score better? And they can walk it through us as well.
And to the mayor's point, if there is subjectivity, what is it? What are they looking for? Is it a beauty contest? What is it? And
is it like you haven't received an award in the past 5 years or something? I mean, shoot, we're almost there.
Right. Yes, no, I think that there are some of those aspects. I think one of the scoring criteria is the size of the community. So now that we're a city, I think that's something that we lost out on some points that we may have previously been given.
I do know one of the strong things they look at is the strength of the state of city address.
Yeah.
And how
long it goes. Yeah.
And how good it is how little you receive less money.
There you go. We're at the top of the scale until you gave that.
Sorry.
That's the opposite.
That was Amber's.
So this is all a benefit.
She framed it up.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Cheshire Ditch Sanitary Sewer.
It's me again, guys.
All right.
All right, sewer, even more exciting than street for you guys. So for this Cheshire Ditch update, I wanted to share with you that I've reached out to a few companies that do cleaning and televising to do an assessment of the Cheshire Ditch, which is going to be the sewer along the commercial Kittner residential property, in order for us to look for the condition as far as how rainwater may be getting into it. So back in 2017, CT Verdantis did a study, very detailed, did some cleaning and televising, and came up with a cost estimate for, back in 2017, what repairs recommendations would be needed in the order of $300,000. But a lot has changed with some of the technology for lining and getting some additional footage, because, you know, we can't use the same footage from 2017, is going to be necessary in order to move forward and look to do this improvement. We do have money in the budget to do a project. So I got pricing from Fee Corp, who initially did the cleaning and televising back in 2017. They actually remembered the line. That's usually not a good sign. And recalled that it took multiple days in order to clean. They gave a price, I'm sorry, I didn't put it in your packet for you, but they gave a price of just over $28,000, compared to Performance Pipelining. They gave an estimate of $45,500. So significantly higher. I think Fee Corp was able to look at it, recall how many days it took, a lot of unknowns for somebody who hasn't seen the line before. Also, at least from this Performance Pipeline estimate, they were asking a lot of questions about it being in the rear. Are there a lot of obstructions? You know, those are all things they have to account for while they're doing the investigation. So I wanted to share that we have this information. Obviously, my guess is we'll be going with B Corp on it, but there will be a next step with this cleaning and televising, and that is going to be another evaluation. My plan is not to go back to CT Verdantis because with sanitary lining and repairs, the contractors that do this work also run the calculations for this. So I feel comfortable based on the recommendations from years ago, and then having the contractor look at the updated film to see what their capabilities are going to be and to run the calculations.
Yeah, so I was just going to chime in. We're not asking for any action this evening. I think, again, just wanted to kind of give you a sense of what this range is starting to look like. Again, we'll come back to the next council meeting, finance committee, maybe with the detail, a little bit more detail. But again, just sort of order of magnitude, where we stand with respect to this project. I know we've been talking about it for some time, at least in the time I've been here in the community. And we've budgeted for it the last couple of years. We just haven't, pulled the trigger on it. So, and given what we know about the wastewater plant, it's a lot, it's a lot cheaper to, line a pipe than it is to expand a wastewater treatment plant. So to the extent that we can maximize, our existing plant, we absolutely want to do that. So, and given that there's a lot of interest around the Kittner Parkway area in terms of development as well, all the more reason for us to jump on that now. So anyway, again, mostly just wanted to let you know that we really have made progress on this, in recent months. And so, and Dale has been involved with this, and Dale has worked closely with Fee Corp in the past. So that's a group that he's comfortable with. So anyway, feel like we're making progress and just wanted to share that, I think. So.
And Jake too, Dale and Jake are both very excited that this is finally moving forward. We're gonna get it done.
They do this for stormwater drain lines too.
Yep, so they can line storm as well. They just have to use different resin material because it outlets to waters instead of going to a treatment center. But yes, you can use the same technology. Storm sewers are usually a little bit larger than sanitary pipes, which average about 8 inches in diameter. So the price usually is significantly higher to do stormwater because those pipes are usually 12 to, well, pretty large.
So this is off topic and I'm sorry, but the CVS storm drain, this has been a problem for years. The entrance across from the Methodist church. Anytime it rains, that backs up. And I'm just wondering if somebody can camera it, or I don't know if it needs jetted or what. I'm not suggesting hiring a contractor right off and just go fix it. Could be on private property too. I honestly don't know, but so you can't miss it when you drive up there.
Not miss it.
Yeah, I know where you're talking about, where the water ponds, we can look at it and identify and make sure it's public, because we don't want to go into anything that's private.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Any other updates along our miscellaneous updates tonight?
Yeah, so just wastewater treatment plant. So at this point, we think we have all of the loan application materials in. It looks like it has been scheduled for the loan review committee or the board for consideration on March 27th. So we're still 3 weeks out from the loan approval process, but again, that's a big and important step. We have done I think we've talked a little bit about it. We did at least the initial discussion with respect to some value engineering. So I don't know if there are any updates on that, maybe not necessarily.
Not since my last update,
Okay.
although I don't think I was at services. I did an update at council, but yes, so we did have that value engineering meeting, and those talks are continuing, and we'll keep trying to see if there's a way to save money.
Yeah, so the loan application amount is $28.3 million. As we talked about, again, somewhere between 28, 29, that's ultimately where it landed. That actually does include some repayments of previous design contracts that we had gotten before as well. So it's that's all in there. Anyway, so that's just a quick update on where we stand with respect to the wastewater plan. Just want to let folks know. The next one, the pump station, out to bid.
Yeah, can we go? Yep. So the Cheshire Road sanitary pump station. So this is the same area where we were talking about doing the cleaning and televising. That pipe actually will go to that pump station. We're going to be doing an upgrade there. The plans are finalized. They're out to bid. The bid opening is on March 12th at noon at our municipal building. So we are.
Expands the capacity too.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Columbus Street parking lot.
Yes. Also, another project that plans are finalized and this is out to bid. We've had a bidders conference. We had one contractor in attendance, Danbert, who I've worked with in the past. I'm assuming Danbert has done work here in the city before. Anybody heard of Danbert?
Mhm.
Yep. So, but they were very interested in the project, asked a lot of good questions. Hopefully we'll get some traction on that. The bid opening is on March 11th, so the day before the pump station at noon.
Yeah, so we'll have numbers for both of those projects pretty soon. And one of the things we had talking a little bit about internally, but I think we're kind of past I thought there was a little bit of concern about the parking lot and whether or not we had to get those trees down before the end of March, but no federal funding, no wetlands, not it. So we'll be able to process the bid applications in a comfortable time frame as opposed to racing to get those in front of you. So, and then I just have Otis Street on here. I don't have a significant update on this yet. Staff is still doing the outreach with residents or residents on that street.
And we'll be out there to do a stakeout to look at the parking situation and try and identify maybe what cars are staying in along the street and maybe impacted if the parking restriction or there's a parking restriction.
Yeah, if we get
We did receive an email, at least some council members did recently. Has that been forwarded to you, Daryl?
Damon had mentioned that he received it. I didn't see it yet,
Follow
but
up
Yeah.
email. Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to
I
forward
reach
it.
back out to him, but I'm going to.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Anything else for good of the group? I'll make a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second by Mayor St. John. Roll call.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Or yeas, we are adjourned.